Hello, I am Ingrid Roney and proud to be the Executive Director of the A+ Foundation for West Aurora Schools. I am so excited that we can be here in person today. I'm still kind of sad we're not doing the two-day event, which is here at the high school and then a big fun party, but you're all invited back next year. I am also exceedingly proud to welcome the incoming class of Hall of Honor inductees and their families and friends. To kick off our evening, I'd like to welcome, virtually, our West High Band as they play our fight song, Roll On. That never disappoints, does it? Even I think that's a year old, it still doesn't disappoint. I'd like to offer out appreciation, A+ appreciation to the West Aurora High School Band for their contribution tonight. I'd like to thank our extremely talented auditorium manager, Todd Melkars, and his crew for their meticulous handling of all of our technical eventualities tonight. That's a big word, but it's a lot that they've had to do this year, so thank you. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Dr. Jeff Craig, our superintendent, who is wearing many hats this week as we conclude yet another school year. He's here a bit now, but off to a very important graduation ceremony at Hope Wall. Is he, can you give us a wave? There he is, giving us a wave. Also, we have Rich Kearns, our newly elected school board president, here for a bit, and I think he's off to that very important graduation ceremony as well. Rich, are you here? Yay. Thanks, Rich. And I see some A+ board members here. If you are a A+ board member, can you just stand up and give us a wave as well? To the Steinheimers, Mike Nelson, Carrie Prochko, Neil Ormond. Now, I'd like to introduce Mr. Don Pilmer, the president of the A+ Foundation. Don is an avid supporter of all things red and blue. Don?
Good evening. I'm Don Pilmer, proud graduate of the West Aurora class of 1982 and president of the A+ Foundation for West Aurora Schools. I'd like to add my personal welcome to everyone here this evening at our presentation of the class of 2020 Hall of Honor recipients. The A+ Foundation began in 1992 with a small group of community members and administrators. Our goal then, as now, is to provide additional resources to students, staff, and the community. A+ continues to stress the enrichment of the curriculum, inspire excellence in students and staff, expand opportunities for community involvement, and to foster alumni connections. A+ has become a strong and recognizable force for student and staff improvement. Know that you too are an integral part of our mutual goals to keep West best. This past year certainly has been a challenging one. Initially, your welcome into the Hall of Honor was planned to be a two-day event, which included a visit to the high school here where you would meet the students and share your stories. The weekend would conclude with a celebratory dinner and presentation of your Hall of Honor plaques. Unfortunately, we all know that COVID caused an interruption in our well-laid plans. Our hopes are this evening's ceremony will in some small way celebrate you and your contributions to our entire world. At this time, I'll turn it back over to Ingrid, who will MC this evening's program. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. This evening, we wanted to take a moment to recognize individuals whose lives embody the excellence that is District 129 and West Aurora High School. Each honoree, past, present, sorry about that, I'm looking at them, they look so excited. Each honoree, past and present, yourselves included, have impacted our world locally, nationally, and internationally. We are all incredibly proud of your achievements, for they are truly what makes West best. Our first nominee is Marina Pokernich Bogard, class of 1978. Unfortunately, she could not be with us here, but we do have her via Zoom, with our fingers crossed. Introducing Miss Bogard this evening is her niece, Michelle Matco Pridmore. Michelle? Yay, there she is.
Hello, my name is Michelle Pridmore, class of 98, and I am Marina Bogard's niece. I am humbled and proud to introduce Marina to you this evening as a member of this elite group of distinguished alumni. My aunt, Marina, along with my mom and grandparents, immigrated from Croatia to Aurora in 1967 when she was just 7 years old. Marina did not speak English and had to work hard each day to communicate with her teachers and peers while adapting to this new life. Through hard work, the love of her family, the West Aurora School District academic curriculum, and the support of the Hall Elementary, Washington Middle School, and West High staff, Marina excelled throughout her schooling, both academically and socially. And side note, she was the cheerleading captain her senior year. From there, Marina built a successful career in the technology and software sector, earning accolades as she drove business results for the companies in which she held leadership positions. However, in my opinion, this is not what makes Marina so special and worthy of this award. It is her dedication to mentor and to develop others to achieve their personal and professional goals that really sets Marina apart from many other business leaders. Marina not only epitomizes the strong academic standards of West High, but also the values of giving back and caring for others. In addition to my aunt, my mom, husband, 2 sisters, and myself are all proud alumni of West High. We have always appreciated the values that were instilled in us during our times as students, as well as the continued support of the Aurora community. Marina has touched and made both a professional and personal impact on so many people throughout her lifetime and will continue to do so. I, along with my sisters, Natalie and Stephanie, and my cousins, Kevin and Carly, are thankful each and every day for her support, her guidance, and most importantly, her love. I wish she was here in person for all of you to meet her, but you will have to take my word for it. My Aunt Marina is pretty awesome. So with that, I'll pass it over to, I think, Marina, right? Or are you, back to you? Okay.
Well, I'm going to present you
With
her plaque, and then we're going to hear from her. I don't know. We're all confused about that.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you, Michelle, for your kind words. And thank you to the A+ Foundation for this nomination. I am truly honored to be part of this distinguished group of characters that I can't see on stage, but congratulations to you, Neil, Andrea, and Peter as well. I'd like to thank my family and especially my sister who's in the room somewhere, Ivanka Mako, who have been huge supporters of me, and especially her, who is 7 years older than me and helped guide me through our early period of life as we came to Aurora. As Michelle mentioned, we immigrated from Croatia when I was 7 years old. And the West Aurora School District has been an integral part of my life. Since we didn't have basically any English formation language and maybe knew 3 words, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Yusi, which I remember her to this day, would take me down individually to this room where all the kids would have breakfast and lunch, and she would try to teach me the word up and down. And she would make me go up the stairs and say the word up, and then down the stairs and say the word down. But she didn't tell me how to tell her that I understood what it meant. So we walked up and down the stairs quite often. Those are the little tidbits of memories I have with her and helping me and guide me through that elementary school years and learning the language. And that's the experience that I had throughout the West Aurora district. It was an amazing group of teachers through my middle school years and my high school years. Not everyone always reflects on their high school in a positive way. And I think if you ask most people, they probably wouldn't want to relive their high school years. But I can honestly say the educational experience and the foundation that I received from the educators of West High in particular was like nothing else that I have seen really as an adult and growing through my career, and seeing some of the educational curriculums that are taking place today. We had amazing high quality teachers that they had huge expectations of us, and not only to regurgitate at something from a textbook, but really to use our minds and think outside of the box and think for ourselves and create opportunities to build confidence in us to try things and not to be afraid to fail. I remember many science experiments where there were many hands burnt in the classroom. I remember our English classes where there were many brain cells burned trying to get through The Hobbit, Shakespeare, and Atlas Shrugged. And who reads that when you're 16 years old? But our English teacher made us get through that and really think about what those stories were about versus just, reading the textbook and writing a book report on it. And thank God for a typing class and for our accounting classes, because who doesn't need those life skills? That got me through college. That got me through balancing my checkbook without having to overdraft on that checkbook. And if only we would have known we needed only 2 thumbs to really type anymore. But those are the type of educational experiences that I had that really gave me a foundation to be able to move forward and have confidence in myself and be able to instill that in others. Life can be challenging sometimes, and not only was the educational foundation important, but the teachers were really in tune with what the kids were doing, and they really built friendships with us where we could go and talk to anybody and explain to them, what might be going on in our lives and how they could help us. They instilled fun. I finally remember all of the dances and the sporting events and the parties and just the fun we would have in the hallways that really kind of had a community feel to it. We developed extreme friendships. Some of those friendships are still intact today, and some of those folks are, I know, zooming in on the YouTube channel. My dearest friend, Sue Black Welskoff, and her sisters, Carlene, Lisa, and Joanne, who became my second family. And to this day, they are my second family. And that's because of the friendships that we've created in that high school. We had a class reunion a couple years before COVID hit. And it was just so delightful to see everybody. And of course, we all said to each other how great we look and how we haven't changed, which is a big fat lie. But we continued to keep those friendships, and it was as if no time had passed and conversations just picked up where we had left off. And we discussed a lot of the environment that we had at West High and the fun that we had at West High. Unfortunately, we also lost many class members over the years through various life challenges. But if it wasn't for the foundation that we had built from the education system of the West Aurora School District, I think those would have been a bit more challenging to manage through. So I thank the community. I thank the West Aurora School District. I thank the A+ Foundation to continue to build on that foundation for all the new students coming through. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Our second inductee is no stranger to the Aurora community. His influence has reached into every corner of District 129, from coaching to mentoring to becoming the voice of the Blackhawks. To introduce this familiar face and voice is his brother, Mr. Paul Ormond. Paul?
Thank you, Ingrid, and good afternoon, everybody. A special shout out to all the honorees, particularly my classmate, Pete Winfrey. Pete grew up just down the street from us, about a block away, and I think with tonight's inductions, Evans Lawn Avenue is back at the top of the Hall of Honor. So it's truly an honor for me to be able to introduce Neil on this special occasion on behalf of our family. But a quick aside, as I think probably all of you know, in the United States Congress in Washington, whenever there's total agreement on an issue, and that hasn't happened in a long time, one member can move to have a motion approved by unanimous consent. And it got me thinking that if there was ever a West Aurora graduate who is justified in being elected to the Hall of Honor by unanimous consent, it had to be Neil Ormond, which really then means he needs no introduction. But since that's my job today, and since I've learned from my favorite broadcaster over the years that a little bit of color commentary and a few statistics help to enhance the story, let me see if I can share a few details that you maybe haven't heard that will help show you just one more way that Neil is so justifying of this great honor. Not surprisingly, Neil graduated at or near the top of his class, not only at West High and Yale University and Stanford University Graduate School of Business, went on to a career in business of over 30 years, working for 3 fantastic multinational companies, Standard Oil, Quaker Oats, and W.W. Granger. Neil working in broadly defined human resources management and certainly a lot of time in leading edge organizational development, helping those companies really get a competitive advantage from the excellence within their workforce. And the success that Neil had benefited not only the companies, but the employees, and he had a terrific career. But somehow during that career, he found time for an avocation that's pretty well known around these parts. In fact, it's a gift that he started to develop really when he was at Yale as the sports director of the radio station, and again back onto the Stanford campus. And since he came to Aurora in 1964, came back to Aurora, Neil has broadcast over 2,000 athletic contests, over 500 football games, over 1,500 basketball games, and hundreds of other events like this that he's been a part of. And he's had the opportunity during that time to go from the early years when he had to string a telephone line along the top of the bleachers in order to be able to broadcast, to now doing simulcasts and triplecasts, broadcasting on the radio, the internet, and cross-community TV. In fact, speaking of community TV, Neil was the first broadcaster back in 1969 on Aurora's first community television station, Channel 60. That was about 20 years before Mike Myers and Saturday Night Live got their Wayne's World skit. They never quite got the part about Neil right, but Wayne and Garth were a little bit like Neil's crew at those early years of broadcasting. And Neil, of course, rightfully has been considered the voice of the Blackhawks for that entire 57-year history. But he hasn't limited his involvement in West High activities. As Ingrid was saying, to the press box. He also has been a volunteer assistant coach for over 75 sport seasons, unpaid. He also, of course, has had a very distinguished career on the board of District 1 and 29 Board of Education. His 22 years of service there, I believe, is the longest tenure of any member of that board, including several years that were very impactful for the district when he served as president. Beyond that, Neil's been very involved in the community, of course, chairman of the Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley, among many other things, co-founder of A+ Foundation, who we thank for tonight's activities, as well as Blackhawk Sports Boosters and many other activities. And along with his wife Mary, they have been very significant philanthropists in this area, particularly in the area of education, focused on student scholarships, rewarding teaching excellence, and helping to invest in the physical plant that is so important that we keep active and on top of here on the West High campus. So I'm going to close with something that has occurred to me over many years of watching Neil's development, and that is that both of us were graduates of the Stanford University Graduate School of Business. And the motto of that school could very well be Neil's motto. It's change lives, change organizations, and change the world. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Paul, for those introductory remarks. And thank you for coming back from Georgia on the 15th anniversary of your own induction as a charter member of our Hall of Honor at West Aurora. I am truly humbled to receive this honor from the A+ Foundation because of my great respect for the outstanding 66 individuals who are already in the Hall, and I have a unique affinity for my three fellow inductees tonight. You see, I had the pleasure of coaching two of them. Andrea Spaith was a member of our award-winning girls tennis team at West, and I was Pete Winfrey's Little League coach back when he was a student at Freeman, growing up just a few doors down from us on Evans Lawn. And I've been a longtime admirer of Marina Bogard, her sister, and longtime staff member Ivanka Matko, as well as Ivanka and husband John's 3 state tennis champion daughters. So good to see Michelle here tonight. I stand here today because of the guidance, help, and contributions of so many people, and I want to extend my thanks and gratitude to them now. It all starts with my parents, Neil and Marjorie Ray Ormond, originally from Yonkers, New York, who moved to 227 South Evans Lawn on the west side of Aurora, 1 block from Freeman School, almost 80 years ago. I was the oldest of 5 siblings, and we were all the beneficiaries of our parents' many talents, high standards, and strong values. Among those many values they stressed to us was the importance of getting a good education and the importance of volunteerism in the community. And as a result, because of their support, all 5 of us children graduated with distinction from West Aurora High School, and each has also earned at least 2 collegiate degrees from major universities across the United States. Our father, who for many years served as the Vice President of Personnel at Lion Metal Products, also took on many leadership roles in a number of community service organizations. He became a strong advocate for Nicholson Elementary School in the Montgomery neighborhood, where Lion was located, encouraging and facilitating their joining District 129 in the early 1960s. My mother, raising 5 children, became a strong advocate for West Aurora schools, heading up several PTA organizations and school referendum committees that in fact led to the building of our new high school, which we are in today, and also the major Freeman addition in 1952. She would eventually become one of the first women to serve on the Aurora College Board of Trustees. One of my earliest memories when I was a Freeman student, a young Freeman student, was helping my mother. She was a librarian by trade. We went around to all of the neighborhood houses gathering books so that she could start a new library, and I had my little red wagon to put the books in. She worked closely with the Freeman staff, inviting them over for lunch and helping new teachers find housing. So I owe a huge debt of gratitude to my parents for getting me started on my life's journey. I'm also indebted to my 4 siblings, Marty, Nancy, Paul, and Rich, all of whom have returned from around the country for the ceremonies tonight. Would you all please stand? My younger brothers and sister kept me on my toes, trying to serve as a good role model, coaching their many activities. And in later years, they joined me as teammates and even statisticians and backup announcers for my radio broadcasts. The game that Paul did at Arlington High School when he was in college, when I came down with a case of laryngitis, still is in the record books as one of the wildest broadcasts ever. All of my siblings have gone on to very successful careers now and have their own lovely families. And I want to give a huge shout out to my immediate family for the last 43 years. My wife, Mary, and my 3 children, Neil Allen, wife Carla, Laurel, Chrissy, and her husband, Benny DeSwart, who 3 weeks ago presented Mary and me with our first granddaughter, Emery. Would you please stand? Mary has been my rock, my partner, Aurora visionary, and facilitator. And without her, it would not have been possible for me to do what I am so passionate about and run around and kept all my many activities going. After the district built the A-Wing here at West in 1998, she plunged into the creation of the environmental courtyard, and she planted more than 100 trees around the campus. Thanks to my 3 children, also, all West Aurora graduates, for making my life complete. It has been a real joy watching you grow up, excel in school and in your own careers, and develop your own homes and families. You've all been an inspiration to me. And in addition to having a terrific family, I was also fortunate to grow up in a great neighborhood within 1 block of Freeman School with many wonderful friends, 2 of whom, in fact, Mike Jacobs and George Arbeiter, are here tonight. Our 2-block area of South Evanslawn can now boast of contributing 6 West Aurora Hall of Honor inductees. And if you look at the area directly around our house and Freeman, 18 of the current 70 members, a full 1/4 of the hall, grew up or were living within 4 blocks of the school during my time as a student in the 1940s and 50s. The playground was a magnet, and the teachers, coaches, and administrators were giants in their professions. I still fondly remember the elementary teachers who made such a difference for me. People like Clara Urbis, Eleanor Hunger, Emma Eggleston, George Ball, Bill Augustus, Leona Covert, Dorothy Reidinger, and Principals Hap Jebbins and Bruce Warner. And when West Aurora Junior High School was created at the old high school in 1953, my class was the first 8th grade class to move into the building. And again, I was the beneficiary of many teaching icons, including Vern Pennant, Leila Culver, Florence DeBartolo, Don Paul, and Arnie Verbeek. And at West Aurora High School 3 years later, I was fortunate to have such memorable teachers, coaches, and administrators as Dick Dorsey, Bill Walbaum, Bob Herget, Marion Winfringham, Lydia Raymond, C.J. Nebergall, Carolyn Drummond, Carl Hoffenrichter, and Al Reidinger and Ken Zimmerman. Each one impacted my development significantly. And because of the strong educational foundation West provided me, I was able to attend and graduate with honors from Yale and Stanford. After getting my MBA degree, I decided to return to Illinois so that I could begin my human resources professional career in Chicago with the Standard Oil Company, then Quaker Oats, and for the last 17 years, Vice President of Human Resources of W.W. Granger, the country's largest wholesale distribution company. These assignments provided challenging opportunities to implement a number of new and progressive human resources programs and policies that earned Granger the distinction of being named by Fortune magazine as one of the 100 best large companies to work for in the United States. During all of my career, I chose to live in Aurora and make the daily commute to Chicago and the northern suburbs so that I could give back to my community and the school district and continue what now has become my 57-year broadcasting avocation, serving as the voice of the West Aurora Blackhawks on radio, television, and the internet. In 1995, I retired from my 30-year business career and embarked on the current chapter of my life as a full-time community volunteer, primarily for the children of District 129. I was appointed to fill an open seat on the district school board and then elected to 5 four-year terms, the last 10 years as vice president and then president. And I'm proud to say that during the 22 years I served, the district saw unprecedented growth under the outstanding leadership of School Superintendent Sherry Eagle, whom I am honored to say is with us tonight, Dr. Jim Reidlin, and Jeff Craig. The district built 8 new school buildings and administrative facilities, and 10 major additions were constructed for existing schools. Major partnerships were initiated to build a partnership school at Aurora University, a new branch of the Aurora Public Library, the Dunham STEM Academy at Aurora University, and 129 initiated what has become a citywide early childhood initiative called SPARK. Also, 2 major referenda were passed, making possible major improvements benefiting every school in our district. Helping the district by serving on the school board was supplemented by my 51 years as a Blackhawk Sports Booster board member and my 17 years on the Alumni Association, and then what has now become over the last 13 years the A+ Foundation for West Aurora Schools. On all of these boards, I have served with a number of very dedicated, talented, and committed volunteers and school administrators, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to work on the same team with them. Yes, I have been truly blessed in my life's journey, and tonight's special honor is especially meaningful. Thank you so much to A+ Executive Director Ingrid Roney, whose mother grew up just 3 houses away from us on Evans Lawn Avenue, I might add. Also to the Hall Selection Committee and to Randy Oxenschlager, Donna Letzer for their handwork and pulling together tonight's ceremonies, and to Todd Milkars for working his usual technical wizardry tonight. You are all very special people, just as District 129 is a very, very special school district. I am forever grateful to you all. Go Blackhawks. So thank you. Appreciate that. Get my things out of here.
Thank you, Neil. Our next honoree is Dr. Andrea Marie Spaith, class of 2003. Dr. Spaith is a member of Rutgers University faculty, a postdoctoral researcher at Temple University, and formerly was at the Pilmer School of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania, where she specialized in experimental psychiatry and sleep and chronobiology. Andrea's wealth of publications have helped advance the scientific understanding of the relationship between sleep, weight management, and health. She has earned awards from the Sleep Research Society, the Obesity Society, the Center for Sleep and Circadian Neurobiology, and the University of Pennsylvania Department of Medicine. Continues working on 2 studies that aim to improve health in ethnic minority and socioeconomically disadvantaged populations. I'm gonna take a breath. She volunteers with iPraxis, which works to inspire middle school age students in underserved Philadelphia communities to explore STEM. But one of her most important accomplishments, of course, was teaching all 3 of my children how to swim when she was a teenager. Dr. Spaith.
So thank you, Ingrid, for that kind introduction. It's hard to follow the voice of the Blackhawks, but I'll do my best. I am so appreciative of this award and have very fond memories of my time at West High. Growing up, I liked to participate in a lot of different activities. I wasn't particularly great at any one, but I was searching for where I fit in and excelled. With West High being so large and diverse, I was able to try many different things and meet so many different types of people. I met some of my dearest friends through cross country. I loved playing doubles tennis on those warm Saturdays with my best friend Annie. I became part of a true community by serving as a student director for the spring musical Les Mis, right here in this auditorium, and got to feel the electric excitement of being a rowdy going downstate with the basketball team. But I truly found my calling through academics. My group of friends at West would get together to socialize by studying for US history and calculus, and we had a healthy competition between each other for highest GPA. Being surrounded by these high achievers pushed me to try my best and cultivated self-confidence in learning, which is so essential when pursuing a career in higher education. West also allowed me to take classes I was really interested in, like psychology, great books, Donna Letzer, and oral speech. And this really enhanced my intrinsic love of learning through reading and writing. I truly believe it has been my writing skills that have been instrumental in my success at each stage of my career. I remember learning about the proper structure of a paper as early as third grade at Freeman, and I'm so appreciative of the detailed, invaluable feedback that my English teachers provided on all the papers I wrote while I was at West. It was my personal essay that got me into the honors program at Elon University, and as a professor, my job revolves around the painstaking process of writing lectures, papers, and grants. My high school experience was truly special, and I am just so happy to be back here tonight. I would also like to take a moment to thank my parents, who were instrumental in allowing me to explore all those different interests that I had. They never pressured me in a specific direction, but were always there to cheer me on, even when I tried soccer for a season and we did not win a single game. My parents never micromanaged my studies or questioned my decisions, and I have never doubted their love or pride for me. This cultivated the confidence and independence that I needed to pursue my PhD, even as no one else in my family had done that before. I'm so thankful that they were able to strike that difficult balance between being supportive without overbearing. I'd also like to thank my husband, Brian. We met my senior year of college, and he has been so supportive these last 15 years. He has been with me through the stress of being rejected from several graduate schools, the joy of being accepted at William & Mary and Penn, the exhaustion of completing my dissertation research, but the relief of finally getting that PhD. As a busy new faculty member at Rutgers, he has allowed me to work late, even midnight or later, when I need to finish grants or create lectures. And he is always there to reassure me that I do know what I'm doing, even when I question or doubt myself. Finally, I would like to thank Pat Swanson for nominating me, and Ingrid, and the other members of the West Aurora Distinguished Alumni Hall of Honor Committee for selecting me. I just feel so honored that you have recognized my achievements, and I look forward to being an active alumni member and celebrating the great achievements of future fellow women in science and research. As an assistant professor and the director of the Rutgers Sleep Lab, I feel so lucky to have a job I truly love and enjoy. I get paid to learn and discover new things every day and then share that knowledge with the next generation. I get to research a topic I'm truly passionate about, which is helping to improve the sleep and health of vulnerable populations. And this includes the current students that are enrolled at West High who are experiencing record high rates of insufficient sleep, depression, and anxiety. So I'm very excited to get back into the lab in the fall, now that we're clearing some important obstacles with COVID, so that I can get back to work on my research. So thank you again. I hope that I can live up to the honor of this award and serve as a positive representative of this special high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Our fourth and final honoree is Peter K. Winfrey, class of 1967. Introducing Mr. Winfrey is Dr. Tracy Williams, the Executive Director of the Spectrios Institute for Low Vision Rehabilitation. But I just heard something very exciting about him that I just learned a minute ago, that he is the eye doctor, right? Am I right? For the Chicago White Sox. And I think, I already see it, he does have a World Series ring on. So if we're nice, he might get to show it to all of us. Dr. Williams.
Wow. Being a visitor here, I grew up in the Villa Park area, so I went to Willowbrook High School, but I can just tell you, these inductees, woo! This high school has to be so proud. 60-some of them. They all have great stories, and what they've all done is just really commendable. It's a real privilege for me to be here. It was fun listening to all those stories, and I think every Hall of Honor inductee has a great story. I mean, it'd be great listening to all 66, 67 of them. But I want to tell you that my amazing friend, West High graduate Peter Winfrey, has got a pretty amazing story. I've known Pete for many years, and he is one of the most humble people you'll ever want to meet. He's just so caring and sharing, and one of the first things that he'll talk about is how much fun it was to grow up in Aurora and his loving family. I know his sister Jane is here, and that he would have never got to the University of Illinois, and just how great this school prepared him. He just excelled at things. He got a degree in business and finance, but I think of equal importance was the development of Pete's strong philanthropic spirit to help others. And I'm hearing that with every single person up here. That, I think, is truly unbelievable balance. I think, too, in high school, with some of the challenges, if you can be prepared for some of those curveballs, so to speak, that happen. Pete had a pretty tough one in 1990 when he began to notice that his vision wasn't as good as it used to be. He was a good softball player, and he was a guy terrific golfer. In fact, he was on the 1967 regional champion golf team. And I'll just tell you, whenever I play him, he usually cleans my clock. So I've got to be very careful. But he never told me about that regional championship. But I'll just share with you that when he went in to the eye doctor and glasses couldn't help him, some tests were run, and he found out that he had something called Stargardt's macular dystrophy. So just a quick lesson to see, we look at something, the light goes into our eyes, and if we need glasses, when the doctor's going, which is better, 1 or 2, the light is just being moved back to your retina, and hopefully that's the end of the story. You just need a pair of glasses and it's done, except if the retina has some damage. And a human retina is like a 300 million piece puzzle that has a little sweet spot in it. And that sweet spot is called the macula. It rhymes with Dracula. And that's the only area on your retina that gives you your 20/20 detailed vision. So when you have Stargardt's macular dystrophy, that is damaged. And if you likened it to like a cherry pie made of 8 slices, slowly one piece can go or the next one. And this affects your life, your activities of daily living. You can't see facial features. You'd be at jeopardy to lose your driver's license. You can't read as good. Basically, all your life dreams are really challenged. I'll tell you about 70% of people that have vision loss are depressed. And why in the heck wouldn't they be? But not Pete. Pete's focus and determination to fully pursue his life goals just got cranked up. He was never going to be defined by his vision loss. He was going to be defined by his head and heart. And he decided, this is just another added life purpose. We'll see what we can do for others as well. So right off the bat, he established 2 companies, one called Healthier Home Products, and the other one, 3-Tier Technologies. What the heck? We might as well tackle the environment and come up with consumer-safe and environmentally safe companies that were very successful, still are. Then he decided to get active nationally, and he joined the board. He was selected to the board of the Foundation Fighting Blindness. And this is the top private group that raises money for research to find cures and also rehabilitation. So people will be defined by their head and heart. I'll just share with you that 70% of people with vision loss as well are either underemployed or unemployed. So it didn't stop there. He decided to hook up with the group that I've been so lucky to be with. They used to be called the Dike Center for Visual Rehabilitation. It's in Wheaton. We're now called the Spectrios Institute. That name, spec, doesn't mean glasses. Spec means we do a full spectrum of comprehensive low vision rehabilitation. And the trios part is we work on the head, heart, and eyes. Well, this group has helped over 40,000 children and adults with vision loss over the last 35 years. And guess who our board chairman's been for the last decade? That guy. Sadly, Pete was challenged again when his talented wife, Judy, was diagnosed with cancer and passed in 2010. Peter again pushed forward. He established the Judy Winfrey Nursing Scholarship. And do you know that 40 graduates of West High have already been aided by that? Didn't start there either. He wasn't too happy with shut-ins that had health needs. And he created this Home-Centered Care Institute. And this is a compassionate and efficient primary care model where the doctors go to the homes of people that are shut-ins. They might have different problems where they're paralyzed. Whatever the challenge is, they get care. And Medicare is finding out that that's a pretty efficient way to handle things because there's far less costs in the hospitals. So this is a national thing that he's been involved with. And honestly, I think it's saved Medicare billions of dollars. And how about this guy's leadership and support to modernize the science wing at West High. I don't know if his favorite science teacher, Mr. Ebling, is here, but he talks about him all the time. And I think, Mr. Ebling, you must have had a pretty good influence on this guy. But Pete loves and honors his strong roots at West High. I have to tell you, I'm personally impressed with his proposal of marriage to Jane Davidson Winfrey, sitting right next to him in 2014. And what a great philanthropic team they are. Getting back to the golfing, when he was over age 60, just recently, he actually has 3 holes in one. Over 60, visually impaired. And one of his greatest golf partners, Wayne, is sitting right over there next to his sister Jane, and he'll verify this. I don't think Wayne bets against Pete too often either. But all I can say is that if there's a cause, Peter's there. Even when famed basketball coach John McDougal suffered a vision problem, Pete rallied many of his teammates to help the coach out. And I'll tell you, that was probably the greatest thing, because I had a chance to talk to that coach, and he was feeling proud about the lessons he taught his athletes and how it's returned, even to him unexpectedly. So I think I could go on a long ways here, but Pete reminds me of the little locomotive that always says, I think I can. And I'll tell you, Pete can and does. So congratulations, Pete. And I guess I can tell your Little League baseball coach that you are a White Sox fan too, so.
Is it okay?
Well, thank you, Tracy. Folks, I just can't tell you what a joy it is to work alongside this man at the Spectrios Institute, where we guide people along their journey with vision loss and how not to be defined by it. And I've been on that journey. I know every inch of that journey, and I'm very proud of my role in this mission. As far as the Home-Centered Care Institute goes, that was a no-brainer. I was enlightened as to just how efficient, compassionate this model of primary health care is, how it can save Medicare billions of dollars by keeping people out of hospitals. And then during COVID, it dawned on us again, this is a wonderful vehicle to bridge the gap between those who are fully insured and those who are underserved and at risk. As far as the other good deeds, I guess I just figured out that helping people is your highest and greatest calling as a human being. What helps people most and what helps most people? And it's the spirit that moves and guides me throughout each day. And it's a beautiful way to live. It makes things very simple and uncomplicated. Now, I think my work says a lot about who I am, or at least about who I try to be. It's innovative molecular biochemistry. And I'm sure that sounds complicated, but it really isn't. It's biology and chemistry. It's molecular. We're not rearranging atoms or DNA sequence. And it's innovative. It's new. And all we do is find a task or a process or a product, and we think maybe we can do it better. So we start blending and combining polymers and make new polymers. And then we test it out. And if it's a go, we head to the market with it. However, everybody in our organization knows that before we go to market, we have a 4-item checklist. 1, it has to be the best. It has to be good at what it does. 2, it has to be cost effective. 3, it has to be safe to use in terms of exposure to toxic and harsh chemicals. And 4th, it has to have a positive impact on the environment. And when it all comes together, it's a beautiful thing. Right now, we have revolutionized the way oil companies treat their wastewater. And we've got very, very good ongoing projects in, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado, West Texas. And this is all for remediation of damaged land. And we're heading to North Dakota because of all the fracking up there. That ground is really messed up. Same with Western Canada. And now we have completed 3 beautiful pilot projects in Australia. And we will be heading down to Melbourne at the end of the summer to do our biggest project so far, and it's all going very well. Our crew in Batavia is coming out right now, as we speak, with a new laundry detergent. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, Petey boy, now there's 1,001 of these to choose from. Well, let me explain. I know when I used to do laundry, back when I could see the dials, I would throw it in the wash, start, wait for the buzzer, throw it in the dryer, wait for the buzzer. And then about every 4th or 5th load, I'd take the lint screen out and kick it on the counter, and then I was done. Well, what we have now come to realize is that lint screen is full of lint because those fabrics are breaking down. They're being degraded by the detergent, by the agitation, by the hot water. And that's not the bad news. The bad news is that when you send that water down the drain, it is loaded with billions and billions of tiny little slivers of what we used to call polyester or acrylics or whatever synthetic names they have for them now. But it's all going intact down the drain to the sanitary district. And they can't be filtered out, they can't be processed out. So when they leave the sanitary district, they get offloaded into the Fox River on their way to the Gulf of Mexico. And laundry is done every day in the world, every day with the same stuff. And can you imagine the overall effect of all of this synthetic plastic going into the oceans? Well, that effect is called microplasticity. You should Google that. It's horrifying what the overall effect is. It's detrimental to sea life of all kinds, animal and plant. Well, my crew in Batavia found out about this in the early part of 2020. And I'm proud to tell you that right now we are unveiling a new laundry detergent that prevents microplasticity. And that is absolutely huge. And we're first. And it comes in a pod that dissolves harmlessly. You don't have some big honking jug that takes 500 years to degrade. And your fabrics the colors stay intact because we've put a protective layer on that. And you can use cold water and reduce your carbon footprint even further. Like I said, when it all comes together, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm going to take time out for an editorial comment, which does not reflect the opinions of senior management. Well, actually it does, because I am senior management. I can name you 5 companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, with each of them 200 PhD chemists and a virtually unlimited budget and state-of-the-art equipment. And they haven't come up with this answer yet. And just what in the hell are they working on that's can be more important than the sanctity of the oceans? I don't get it, but that's just me. Now, back to the program. Egypt, we're in Egypt right now, and we have developed a process by which you can treat their orchard land, their farmland, their vineyards with compromised river from the water from the Nile River. And when you're able to do that, you can free up potable water for consumption. And it's a challenge. I've got two guys over there, PJ and Gamil. I love these guys. And we heard from PJ this morning, and he wants 30 more quarts to test or something. I go, get it to him. We've been at it for 4 years. It's a sovereign nation. It's a military government. And then it seems like every other month there's another Ramadan that slows everything down. And everything comes to a halt. But boy, we're pushing it forward. And I'm on pins and needles on this one because I really want this to happen. When we can roll this out, when those sea-going, ocean-going vessels are loaded up with our product on the way to Cairo, you're going to hear the champagne corks popping, because this could have a profound effect on that nation and that entire region, because their water, every drop of water, is so precious. Now, we move from Egypt to heavy metals. What are they? Where do they come from? Why are they a problem? Well, there's a bunch of them. There's strontium, beryllium, cadmium, eblingium, lead, mercury, arsenic, tungsten, you name it. There's 35 or 40 of them. Where do they come from? Coal. Every ounce of coal has a mixed bag of these heavy metals in it. And why is it a problem? Because they come off, these coal-fired utility plants, they release the carbon dioxide. We all know about that. But the bad news is the heavy metals linger around in the air, and it gets into the rivers, and it gets into the land, and it gets into us. Causes all kinds of cancers and problems. Well, our little company in Florida, oh, wait a minute, by the way, if you take a Google Earth picture of every one of these utilities, you'll see mountains of coal ash. And that is ash, like a fireplace ash, except it's in a highly reactive and receptive and radical state, just waiting for something to grab onto. And it's a potential disaster waiting to happen. And our company in Florida, Sanford, Florida, has got a process by which we can stabilize this stuff and keep it calmed down so it can be properly disposed of, and we can prevent these disasters from happening. Well, we've gotten absolutely nowhere with these guys. They'd rather pay litigators and lobbyists. And there I go again on an editorial, but I guess I'll stop there. I'll tell you about my biggest disappointment in business, and that was 7 years ago. We were summoned over to Shanghai by Communist Party officials because they had a huge problem with arsenic poisoning. And we sent over a container of product, and we told them how to put it down on their rice fields. And so when we got there, we took tissue samples. And the rice that was treated by our stuff came out for arsenic, non-detect, which is chemical speak for there isn't any there. And this one guy, through an interpreter, told me that 20 million people in that province alone had arsenic poisoning. And we showed them how to keep that arsenic out of there. And they have spent the last 7 years trying to replicate that product to no avail. My goal was to go over there and teach these and show these people how they can grow a healthy rice crop, and their goal was to get fabulously wealthy. And my friends, that one haunts me. I just don't get that part of it either. So between the coal ash and this agricultural stuff that we can do, I've got plenty to do. I'm in a good state of health and fitness. I'm frequently alert. And there's lots of work to do, and I won't be retiring anytime soon. But there's a Hebrew phrase that I've embraced. It's called tikkun olam, Tikkun Olam. And the two words are more than just words. It's a spirit. It's a way of life. It's a philosophy, almost a religion unto itself. And it's widely studied and many interpretations. But the one that I embrace is that we are all individually and collectively obligated to preserve and protect the sanctity of the earth and the dignity of all of its inhabitants. And that's the spirit that moves and guides me throughout each business day. Now, I'll transfer from ancient Hebrew to ancient Latin. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. I'll explain. In 1990, that retinal specialist told me I was losing my eyesight and there was nothing I could do about it. And I did go into a pretty deep funk. I was in virtual quicksand for quite a while. But slowly, I began to pull out of it. And my head began to clear up, and my heart began to open up. And all of a sudden, little things that used to bother me, they went away. And major things, important things, came up front and center. And I was able to tell the difference. And the next thing you know, the second half of my life's journey was underway. Now, I'm a spiritual man. Every day I communicate with my Heavenly Father, and I give thanks for His providence that brought Jane Lee into my life. And I pray for all my friends that have cancer. I pray for children around the world that have peace and clean air. And I pray for everybody that's visually impaired, that their hearts would beat stronger as the lights grow dimmer. But then I give thanks for my vision loss, because it has made me strong and wise and kind. And everything of note that I've done in my life is as a result of this blessing that I originally thought was a curse. And I'm very grateful for it. Post hoc, ergo propter hoc. After this, therefore, because of this. And I thank you all for listening patiently while I ramble on and bare my soul. I thank my nominating squad, my wife, Jane, my sister, Jane, and Mr. Ebling, who taught me to always have an idea. And thanks to Tracy Williams for that nice introduction and those kind words. And thank you, A+ Foundation, for the magnificent work that you do. Good evening, my friends. God bless.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here this evening to help us honor these incredible individuals. We at the A+ Foundation appreciate your support and your presence. Now I'd like to invite the nominees and our guests who can stay. We are going to take I'd say a short walk to the actual Hall of Honor, but it's not. It's pretty long. So if you would like to join us in the foyer where we will unveil the plaques. Thank you.